What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast.
What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 69 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I am your host, David Soto Jr. Today, I'm going to continue the story of us, about me and you-know-who. Last episode, we left us in the mix. If you remember that, listen to it if you don't know, if you don't get the reference. But in the mix, we started hanging out, and I have to talk about the girl that I was dating that we all called Angelina Jolie. She was a client of mine at Bally's, and I told her when she was done being my client, when she was out of sessions, that since she's no longer my client and she wasn't gonna renew, she shouldn't have bought training from me in the first place. She wasn't really in the financial position to, so I knew she wasn't gonna renew. But I said, since you're no longer my client, I can date you, blah blah blah. I say blah 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 a lot, don't I? And we started seeing each other. Now, the girl before, I didn't really cover that. I think we called her Tracy, the train wreck waitress turned personal trainer, yoga teacher, who I dated for about a year, probably. We were slowly drifting apart, or I don't remember exactly, but it never really was official that we were broke up. So on my first date with Angelina Jolie, I get a phone call on my little Nokia. Did I say this last time? Which, you know who knows the phone number still. And I ignore it because I have a girl in my house, and guess who pulled up while I was on my date with Angelina Jolie? Personal cocktail waitress turned personal trainer, yoga teacher. And I was open the door, and it was very closed it tight behind me, and she was like, "Oh, you got in there." And that's how that relationship ended. I didn't really break it off, but it sorted itself out by her coming to my house unannounced and seeing me with another girl there, and that was Angelina Jolie. So I remember the Angelina Jolie girl getting kind of upset and leaving, but we continued. We sorted it out, and so that's how I got to dating her, in a little bit of a relationship with her. All this time, going to work every day, and who being there, and we're hanging out, or taking lunch breaks, and we're going to have coffee, or we're getting each other coffee. And there was a third person that was in our little friendship group. Her name was Marion. And she was like a moderator, like I don't know. She was just a good friend between the both of us at the time. And so as things progressed with you know who and I, she was there. She was the only one that knew. I guess because you know who was a manager, I guess, and I was just a trainer. So I don't think that we were supposed to be dating, or it was suggested that we don't really announce it. But Marion was the one that knew everything. So we didn't officially have a first date. Our first date kind of was, this is very immature, but was me coming over to her babysitting a friend's child. So literally going over to her, a girl's house while she was babysitting someone. And the interesting part about that was after she put the baby to bed, she invited me to the bedroom to watch TV and lie down. I remember lying down and feeling kind of awkward, and I don't know what happened. Nothing happened as far as anything physical, sexual going on. But it was weird. It was as if it could have. I mean, we're lying in a bed watching TV. That's the equivalent of Netflix and chill. But I don't know how that night ended. I do, at some point, went home. But I remember thinking like, oh my God, does she want to do it? Are we going to? Already? It was just a curious experience, that first date, if you could even call it that. But it was a step. It was our first time like meeting each other after work in separate. Yeah, well, basically that. It was the first time really meeting each other, not seeing each other at work. So there was that, and then there was maybe the time before that. I was no longer a bouncer at the train wreck, but I still frequented the place, and I was still liked and adored there and got free drinks. So I would go, especially with my bouncer buddy. I don't know, but I made an announcement. I made it clear that I was going to be going there Friday night. I'm going to be going there and drinking and doing something. It was close to my house too, so I didn't have that far of a drunk drive, to be honest. I did a lot of that in my day. So I'm standing there at the train wreck listening to music, bobbing my head, having a drink, and somebody, like, remember how if you like push in the back of someone's knee and it causes them to collapse a little bit? Someone did that to me while I was standing there, and I turned around and see who it was, and it was you know whom. And she was out with her friends and made a special pit stop at the train wreck to see me. And she was like, oh, I'm just going to stop and say hi. I'm like, oh, hi. And Then she didn't. I don't even think she ordered a drink or they had a drink. They just stopped to say hi. She stopped to say hi and then left with her friends. And the funny thing is, like, the bartender that I knew there was like, "You can hit that, man, for sure." So obviously he knew her from some where, way, how. It was a link to somebody she had dated. He was a link to somebody she had dated. And that's her story to tell, so I won't tell it. But that was there was that experience where we saw each other outside of work briefly. That was the first time, and she made an effort to come see me. And then we had our first date, and that was kind of the first time where we both met up intentionally, not at work. But things progressed, and it got a little close. We got closer. We eventually just started seeing each other all the time and dating, and it was never really there was never like an official thing. We never like said it's official, but it was obvious that we were a couple. It was obvious to us and Marion. And so I remember sitting in the office at Bally's, and three of us are just hanging out. And they were like, the conversation came up, was like, "What did you tell Angelina Jolie?" And I said, "Well, nothing. It kind of sorted itself out. I haven't seen her." And both, who and Mary were like, "You didn't break up with her?" And I'm like, "No, but I haven't seen her since, implying that since we started dating, I just kind of assumed that I'm not going to see her anymore." And then lo and behold, as I'm sitting there, Angelina Jolie comes in and goes to work out. And she sees all of us in there, and she waves, and she's nice, and she's friendly. And Marion's like, "Looks like you got something to do." And I had to go out and break up with Angelina Jolie while she was on the elliptical trainer. Of course, I work at her gym, so I'm going to see her. That probably was the last time I ever saw her, though. I don't think she came into the gym after that. But I guess by breaking up with her right there on the spot, it kind of solidified that, who and I were officially a couple. And that's 2003-ish. For sure. Yeah. Anyways, folks, that is it for today. I have to go work on my investment property. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. But check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I am at David E. Soto Jr., JR for Jr., and I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks.